thank you everybody for coming today. Again, this is one of the J6 panels we put together, about 5 of those, two more outside the door. We have a couple of announcements, safer lessons learned after this one, 1100. I want to thank, first of all, City Supervisor John Stanley, Group CEO, and the J6 Entertainment helping us put together five sessions. Yeah. So this is one of 5. We had one yesterday. So again, thanks for everybody for coming. I'll turn it over to Chief Stanley, and thank you again for Warrant here with us, and need more from me.
All right, like Jeff said, I'm CW5 John Stanley. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the Indo-PACOM J6. One of the things I wanted to do, because lessons learned from going all the different tech nets, it's like we haven't had at Indo-PACOM, this specific one, a panel where warrant officers can get together and talk about what's going on. And even though the majority of warrants that are on this island are Army, I made a specific effort to make sure this is a joint panel. So luckily I was able to get representatives from our Navy and Marine Corps brethren, so we can actually have a joint conversation and not just a bunch of Army warrants pontificating about our problems. So you guys came in to hear what we wanted to say, so I'm not going to talk much, but I'm going to pass it down the line. We're going to do some introductions, and I'm going to let them talk about what they see as the technical issues in the Pacific from the perspectives of their commands and in their roles as today. So, over to Jim.
Good morning, everyone. I'm CW4 Jimmy Martin. I am the OIC for JMAS PAC, Joint Maritime Shore Support Team. And I deploy a system called DJC2. We'll get into what that system is. I'm also right now the J6 OIC for Joint Task Force Red Hill. So I'll discuss those things and now we go past it down.
Good morning, my name is Chief Officer Christopher Reynolds. I work at Marvel PAC as the Network Engineering Officer. In this role, we look over the how communications is done with both 1 and 3 men. So that's kind of what we're on there.
Thanks for inviting me to this panel. I'm Chief Warrant Officer 2, Stephen Wallace, a member of the 516 Theater Signal Brigade. I sit at the edge of the tactical and strategic environment with 1 expeditionary signal battalion in HAM and 3 network enterprise centers everywhere. Morning, everyone. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Booker. I'm at 25th IDG6. I am the Hub Platoon OIC. I run the tactical pilot. That's what we use to bring our tactical assets in within 25 days.
Okay, so Jim, if you want to talk about yeah, you can start now, or we're going to talk about what
I want to put this, the Army does this very well when it's deploying JTS, but the Navy does not. The Navy's not really prepared to deploy on land as the Army is. So when we deploy our JTS, especially in Indo-PACOM, we use DJC2, but DJC2 does not give the funding required to be successful. We could deploy, it normally takes between 5 weeks to 6 months to deploy JTS to full operation. If you use DJC2, we could probably deploy that out in 96 hours and have them up on C2 within 96 hours. The problem that I have is the money that gets pushed into DJC2 is not here because we have NetC2 and we also have JCSC. We compete with all these guys trying to figure out how to get funding where it needs to go from our program of record, which is PMW 790. PMW 790 has a plethora of systems that they have to take care of. And the funding that they get gets funneled to DJC2 at a smaller price. So we're using servers and switches and laptops that are no longer sufficient and they're out of life expectancy for us to deploy. So if I'm supposed to deploy that for ComFair's future commanders to take commands in Hawaii in the Pacific, I can set that up in 96 hours, but I don't have all the technology I need to be successful. What I ask and what I think we need to do, and this is just my opinion, NetC2 is the Navy's version of a deployable unit. DJC2 is the joint version of that, but then all the forces need to put money into DJC2 as the unit. We fight, Indo-PACOM does their best, and they do this very well to try to get us the funding we need to be successful. We deploy, just so everyone here knows, when we deploy DJC2, it's all Navy. So the Army comes and they trains us on how to deploy tents, flooring, chairs, tables, AC units, all this stuff. We have to learn how to do this. Because in the Navy, we're on ships. We don't do this. So we have to learn it and we come back on the short side of DJC2. Love the job, love the command. I think it's very challenging and I love everything about it. However, the tents, the flooring, the tables, the chairs, this stuff that it takes to actually deploy and stand up at JTF in the Pacific successfully is all outdated and old. We don't get the money to replace it, so we're duct taping things together to make them work. And that's just not how you're supposed to sustain if you want to deploy within 96 hours. I am on the hook to deploy if Indo-PACOM requires a FRAGO or a Warrant for a JTF in 96 hours. I have to be able to deploy my entire kit. And that goes over on C-130, and it's expensive. I'll tell you guys now, it's about $1 million to deploy my entire kit and get it off this island. If I'm on island, much cheaper because I just use Hospital Point right here on Oahu, and I can set up and be done in a matter of probably 24 hours. But if I have to fly everything off this island and go set up in Australia or Alaska or something like that, that's going to take time, it's going to take money. Money that the customer doesn't want to spend. And then when we get there, we can't meet the requirement of the commander because he wants certain levels of certain, because we're not in a classified space, certain things I can't just speak on, but there's resources that he or she needs that I can't give them because I don't have the tools or my system is so old it can't bring in that data that they need. I think we need to move forward and think about how, as a joint service, how are we going to deploy for JTF task force? It takes too long to deploy JTF task force right now. I will tell you, as being the J6 for JTF Red Hill, I believe we have key points in processes because we deployed Red Hill in 48 hours. We were up and running 100%. And it was with technology that myself and a lieutenant commander from the Air Force, lieutenant colonel from the Air Force came up with. And I think it's going to work. And I think I have some lessons learned that's going to really push forward to the JTFs in the Pacific to be set up in 48 hours using DJC2, but also using commercial agnostic cloud-based technology. How that's going to be done is using on island, and this is just for the specific if you're on island. We're talking using a commercial ISP, using things like Starlink, and using things like 5G. These are important pieces of the puzzle that if I'm deploying and I'm using a Hawkeye 3 and I have to go do a GAR install, it's going to take me 6 months to get that access. And I can just come up on Starlink in a matter of 5 minutes and have more throughput than I would have on my Hawkeye Heavy in a heartbeat. And the training doesn't need to be there. The training is cheap. I had my engineer, when we brought in Starlink to test it out, who never touched the SATCOM system, set it up in 3 minutes with no training whatsoever. He just followed the card that had 3 steps on it. And we were pushing 100 megs up and down in a matter of 3 minutes. These are the things that I think we need to start looking at when we start to advance and move in deploying the JTF. Now, I'm only speaking of just joint task force deployment because I think that's what the concern is right now. Right now, the demand for a rapid deployment of a joint task force is still high. No matter what we're doing, whether it's a hater mission or it's exercises or it's real world like Red Hill, we need to be able to deploy this stuff fast and efficiently. We need to be able to do this quickly. And I think hitting the mark at 48 hours, I think, is a notable process that I think we need to do. And I think I have some points to make that move much faster. And I'm only speaking on Hawaii. We need to deploy on Hawaii. In the Pacific, it's going to take a little longer because the logistics of getting 5G from cell service. But if you already have Starlink, or it's tough to right now. You have Starlink in place and the satellites are in place, you're going to be up and running in a matter of 24 hours. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. That was really great. So, Chief Warrant Officer Reynolds, it's up for you.
All right, well, Jimmy, that was great. Covered a couple of subjects I was going to cover. One thing I'm kind of curious is, do you guys do wireless at all now?
No, and we don't do wireless because of some of the places we go, we don't have that concept.
Okay. So,
I'll tell you this, the technology is there, but the money's
So some of the issues that the Marine Corps runs into out here, obviously in the Pacific, there's a lot of ocean out here. So getting transport or connectivity wherever you go is not always the easiest. Starlink and other commercial vendors help. Having 5G in locations helps as well. But for the Marine Corps, we have our MOS broken down into where there's a SATCOM guy and there's a network guy. I do with the networking portion of this. So I deal with any terrestrial like fiber or 5G connections like that. So there's just some disparity when I go to my SATCOM guys and they give me a DISA connection specifically for like a protected transport that I can't use for SD-WAN with the commercial side of things. So there is some disparity when I'm given certain transport types that I cannot use because of the commercial being one way of doing SD-WAN and then that not touching that gray space on the protected side of this. So transport, that is an issue. Another issue is going to be obfuscation. So right now, the Marine Corps doesn't have any tools that allow us to obfuscate traffic. These are to where every MSC or every unit has that ability. So again, for obfuscation, if I'm going out there, I definitely want to hide my traffic and make sure that it looks like just normal traffic that is within that area. So I know there are certain tools that are coming out that can help with this. However, again, those are not something that is widely fielded at the lowest level. For the obfuscation, we could also have it be some sort of bandwidth aggregator. So again, I can add in commercial circuits when I get those online because those are going to take time to order or for disapply. To where I can throw in SIM cards and where I can throw in Starlink to make this all to where I can have a pace plan is something that I don't have to configure manually, that it just automatically goes through. There are certain tools that are out there, again, they're not widely produced. One of the other issues that we run into is coalition interoperability. So I know that there is another breakout that's going on with MPE, specifically with IMN guys going on with that. But as it stands right now, everyone still has their network-centric environments, at least for the Marine Corps side of things. So for us, that's going to be a transition issue that we're going to have, getting from network-centric to that data-centric environment to allow for us to have that better interoperability. So I'll kind of go ahead and stop there. I know that when we go into questions, you guys might have some more.
Appreciate it, Chris. And I think a lot of us up here are coming to having a lot of similar problems, understanding the Pacific and the tyranny of distance. Sitting on the edge where strategic meets tactical poses a lot of unique challenges. The speed at which the tactical environment has to get delivered and where value is needed to be delivered. For the 516, one of the primary goals that we try to achieve is reinforcing the theater's pace plan, giving the warfighters options and transport methods with the C2E initiatives and the service agnostic transport infrastructure, which in the future is going to look like 5G, lower orbit, medium orbit options. Just having persistent ability out here in the Pacific as this theater becomes much more active and much more important, I would say, as resources start coming our way. Now with trying to keep up with the cyber aspect of our tactical environment is also a significant resource-intensive operation. The ability for us to be able to maintain our compliancy and our ability to provide value without providing bureaucracy. That always is the threshold or one of our significant struggles. There's the interoperability aspect of this theater that also generates significant problems as we use and work with our mission partners. Sitting here to the left with my Marine brothers who heavily utilize one of us, the 78th, one of my signal battalions, because there's the executive agent broken out and our J-List. So being able to provide service and being there for any one of these panel members is a problem that and is the general work that we have in the signal battalion or signal brigade. There's a lot that goes into being the persistent and non-persistent service provider out here. Definitely feel the struggle and want to look as we sit and talk to the vendors today and see what TechNet is about and seeing what the industry is doing. It gives very great ideas of what
morning, and everyone. From 25th ID's perspective, I run the tech hub, so it's more of the tactical edge. As everyone's been talking about, the big issue is transport, right? So out in Pacific, we need to have the ability to have a high bandwidth so we can, as technology emerges, that requires resources, right? So those 8-meg pipes and stuff that we did on traditional satellites is really not cutting it. I'm sure everyone knows about that, right? So Starlink's been getting
We only
implemented.
get two, by the way.
Yeah. So Starlink's been getting implemented a lot, not just here, but in a lot of places. From my perspective, and it's a great asset, but I think one of the technical challenges is that's not necessarily controlled directly by us. And being over the TAC hub, that if we're able to land LEO and MEO SATCOM resources, that would give us full control. When you look at the vision being a unit of action, you're making moves on the fly, you don't have time to do that back-end coordination piece. So I think if we had the ability to have full control over those LEO, MEO resources, that would be a huge win. And also, we're looking at current services, where they lie and where they need to shift, what needs to sit down to the top, what needs to get moved up to vision, what needs to sit down to brigade, as we look at what that's going to look like.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And, we talked a lot about Starlink, but it's like, the reason we talk so much about Starlink is they're the ones that have, right now, they got in the game first, they got everything up there. We are definitely, looking at all the PLEO vendors out there. I know several of them they're going to be up in the area that start working and expanding in the next couple of years. So right now it's Starlink, but another year or two, we're going to have a little more competition, a little more capability to start working with Kuiper and OneWeb and a few of the other ones, depending on the situation that we're working with, and see how the DoD incorporates those requirements, because they're tracking PLEO is important, and also the other types of communication and transport that we have to deal with in the theater. One of the bigger issues that I've seen from my perspective is that transport is obviously an area that's mostly water. Transport is important, and a lot of our transport in this theater is just outdated because it was installed so long ago, and it hasn't essentially been migrated into the newer MPLS clouds, or integration of cloud technology into the theater is in its nascent stages. And from my boss's, General Miles' perspective, our big thing is, you can put cloud in Hawaii, great. You can put cloud in Guam, you put cloud in Japan, now we're talking. West of the IDL is where we're the Indo-PACOM focus for everything that it's doing. So the things that you can do more in those areas, that's where we want to have those conversations. Because yes, we will use cloud here in Hawaii, not a problem, but it's not really a big of a game changer as it would be in places like Guam or Yokosuka or Okinawa and places like that. But so right now, I would actually like to, we've got a very good room. I'd love to see how many people showed up to this. Open it up to questions from the audience. Yep.
Hey, so this is for you, Jay. So as you're starting to think about rolling out basically all your companies for the joint task force, how much help are you getting from the other branches in terms of support? It sounds like you're in this alone, but I would imagine that the Army is there to help, the Air Force is there to help, the Marines are there to help. So how much?
That's a great question. Since JMAS, which is the Navy personnel, there's only 17. So there's 17 JMAS personnel, 4 which are contractors. I don't get any help from any of them. But I'll caveat that with I've never asked them. So maybe if I ask, I may get some. However, I do have a regiment, 2 reserve units that I can pull off whenever I need to. However, the problem with that is 60 reserves. They have what's called AT time. That AT time doesn't always marry up to an exercise or something real good. So just because I have those numbers, I may get lucky and it's 15 that can actually deploy with be my 17 plus that 15 to deploy the whole core for 6, which is DJC2. That's not the number we need. We need more like 50, but my team does it. They do it very well with those small numbers. If you then take that and look at core 5, it sits at 59. They have 3. They have a register for 100 that they deploy. Just grunts that get this stuff done. I would argue I'm better than they are, but that's just but that's the difference between being here and working for Paycom directly. And I have 2 bosses. So I have the admiral at Paycom and I have the admiral at Compact. They own me administratively, Paycom owns me DJC2. So I get permission from both. But to answer your question, I've never asked for any joint force. Never thought about that. That's something I'm going to write down to see if maybe I can prove some form of guys or some
Chief Adams?
Yeah, so hello, earlier today you said something about competing with JCSE. Just to let you know, I am JCSE, we're not competing with anyone, but we are here to help offer. So I want to throw that out, we see the same challenges you have with DJC2. We all know that it's a weapon selection of choice that we were given, that we have to operate with. But we are doing, obviously, futuristic data set kits, obviously virtual, Starlinks, everything that you mentioned, we are doing at JCSE. And again, some of the things you forgot to mention about the JC2 is it's not just one C17, it's like 4 or 5.
It's 2 of them.
You're right, we deploy everything. Obviously, the DJC2 is a big package. And also, they're trying to continue to push stuff or resources, capabilities, but they don't want to fund it. So like you said, they want to put stuff in the cloud, but they don't want to fund it. They want us to fund it, but they don't want to give us any money. So there's obviously a lot of issues with DJC2. And again, JCSE is not a competitor. We're here to help and assist. So if you do have any gaps that you identify that you need some resources, we're definitely all on board to help out. And we got Chief Mendez up there already. He's going to link us together hopefully and see how we can help each other out and partner, not compete.
I think you're 100% correct with everything you said. The problem we're going to run into is the customer doesn't want to pay for both of these. They don't want to do it.
Yeah, and the customer also doesn't want DJC2 because they don't want a system. They want their system. They don't want JC2 system.
And then my thing is, I'm an advocate for DJC2 because I'm the OIC, but I'm more of an advocate for let's find the right fit and just make that happen at a joint level.
Right.
If it's not DJC2, then scrap it. But let's put the money where it needs to be. So we can support the warfighter. That's all I want.
Right.
It may not be DJC2. It could be JCSC. Just put all the money into JCSC, move the money to JCSC, and let's deploy like we're supposed to.
Right. And we work really close with almost doing that J6 also to meet a lot of these high demands. So yeah, like I said, hopefully we can link together.
I agree. Thank you for this and thank you for that question because that is something I never thought about. We go through many problems all the time, like every service does, and we try to fight. We need men more than someone else, and that's just the fight we never do.
Great question. You're in the back.
Yeah, hey, Earl Johnson. I spent 11 years at JCSC. I was there when we built DJC.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate your challenges that you're experiencing. We deployed to West Africa for Ebola and Haiti for the earthquake. So again, I can appreciate that. And some of your transport stuff. This is for Christopher as well. I think we can help. The industry can help you with some of your multiple transports, make it more robust with some SD-WAN technologies that are out there. That does both on the government side, WGS, whatever, as well as on the commercial side, your LTE, 5G, Starlink, 5-sense high capacity K, wherever, a multitude of different transport. We can kind of, SD-WAN can kind of help and make it, like I said, more robust and resilient in this state of operation. So love to sit down and talk to you guys about it, and I think we can help you guys.
Ernie?
Ernie Curtis, another JCSC alumni. I admin that job when I was actually the ops warrant officer at JCSC when Paycom requested ownership of the DJC2, and they sent the debt from Hawaii back to Tampa. Has it been discussed? Yes, because JCSC had the money and had the resources to maintain, and it was on demand for the Pacific. Has it been discussed, relinquishing the DJC2 and the modernization and the maintenance of it back to JCSC and sending that back out?
That's a good question. I think it has been, but the problem is, if it's in Tampa, where it needs to deploy, like let's say we have something going on right here in the Pacific. It's easier to have a core right here in the Pacific. Indo-PACOM is more comfortable with that because they can deploy right here on the hospital point and have everything they need within a matter of 24 hours. Is I think what the argument is right now. I agree with you. Like I said before, DJC2 may not be the answer. Maybe JCSC is. But I think we need to think about how are we going to deploy in the Pacific if you're in Tampa.
Well, no, I brought it up because the Corps was sitting here, and we had a detachment of JCSC service members here on island.
Easy, I totally agree.
They were stationed here, so it was easy for them to deploy it.
Even if you took JMAS and now made that a JCSC component, that makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, as long as there's something here in the Pacific, because Hawaii is, as everyone here knows, is a central location for all tactical warfighting. This is where it's at. So this is where you need to make sure you can deploy within the drop of a hat.
And from the Indo-PACOM perspective, yes, we've had those conversations. It comes down to like the speed of getting people out here, getting things deployed, funding, because again, Indo-PACOM would have to fund that. And so right now, so there's a lot of pieces into it, but yes, we have talked about re-engaging that engine, but I don't think that's getting any traction at this point in time. So I know I said I wouldn't ask any questions, but I'm gonna ask a question. So, in all your different areas, and as we keep moving through all the newer technologies, newer requirements, what are your guys doing to implement like the requirements of data centricity in your areas and zero trust and everything? Because that's I know it's a big topic. Everybody's talking about it all the time. That's why I bring it up. But we all have that mandate from the president, from the DoD CIO, that you will be there by 27. So, but each of the services are addressing it differently. So, in your perspective, if as you see it, or have you heard about it, in those, what are you guys trying to do to get after it, or what issues are you seeing trying to get after it that industry can help with?
I'll answer first, and I'll go with the gentleman who mentioned before because he hit the nail on the head. PW 790 actually looks for all the resources, and they put them out there too. They're great ideas. Here's the problem: there's no money. So even going through technology, I walk through and I see all this technology. I'm like, man, I can use that right now. I can use that right now. But who's going to sustain it, change it, and put it in place to keep the money flowing? So it looks great on a board over there. When you try to put it into my system, my ITs, my sailors have to be trained how to do it. Because that engineer that's sitting over there, he's not going to deploy with me. So now I need to make sure that my guys are trained. And where's the money going to come from the training? Where's the money going to come from the sustainment of that system, the maintenance on that system? So there's a bunch of technologies out there that will put us on the map if we really spend the money. Where's the money from? And that's the problem we're having is, since we're a joint system, right now Navy's the only one funded DJC2. That's not how it's supposed to be. If it's a joint system, Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine, all supposed to pool money together and fund that system.
Which is what they do for JCSC.
Well, not for DJC2.
We know,
Our
as a
modernization
command as a
program,
whole.
we have all services pay into modernization efforts, but not
Yeah.
JCC2.
That's why I said we have to find what's the ask. Because if you want to be able to deploy with a mobile system, you just got to pick it. You want it to be a joint vision. You got to make sure that everybody's going to fund it. Indo-PACOM is doing their best trying to figure out who owns what, who pays for it. Indo-PACOM is a huge business. Huge. I get paid $500,000 a year just to maintain it. It should not come from me, but it does.
And it's still not enough.
And it's still not.
Chris?
So on the Marine Corps side of things, we have a task group NetMod, which is going through and they're doing data vaults to collect all the different programs or cyber tools that we're using, identifying who needs what, how it's going to be mapped for, kind of getting after that zero trust, and what needs to be transfers from what So again, that's happening at the Montgomery, DC kind of area where that's being led. As far as like data-centric, working with the guys at the Indo-PACOM with IMN, that's how we're starting to get after at least data-centric with coalition efforts. That's what we're going to be focusing on first, because right now, like with one of my messages, we have two different coalition networks that are getting a network-centric environment, so command control, and it's all that stuff in two different setups. So whenever they're deploying with one partner nation, they're using one, like Centric Japan, or we're using Centric Korea. So again, depending on where you're going, you're using a different type of encode for that connection. Going into that data-centric, we're moving into IMN, where it's all just that you're tagging your stuff appropriately with who should be able to have attributes or who should be able to see it. Like that gets it to where all I have to do is deploy one enclave now. That's just that stack rail environment. So again, that's something that we're moving to and we're working with the Indo-PACOM guys to get after. However, until that solution gets matured, we're still going to be in our net-centric environment until we get there.
Thank you. So for the 516 configure, the Zero Trust is definitely one of our big initiatives. Working with RCCP, Regional Cyber Center, Pacific, they're definitely leading the effort along with neck battalions. It's trying to understand what it takes for all of the garrison environments across the Pacific for the Army to adopt this new culture. I think that's one of the biggest struggles. Current policy that JISA provides doesn't coincide necessarily with the new practices and principles that Zero Trust offers. Those are going to be struggles. I know as we start to roll out a lot of these capabilities and kits, I'll tell you right now, there's findings that connecting to a commercial ISP without going through the correct process results in threat of shutting down the network. While we're supposed to be looking at service agnostic transport, where our traffic session-based control and encryption needs to be applied so that we can maintain end-to-end connectivity and privacy, right? So there's significant struggles that come with that, but moving forward with it, Comply to Connect is also going to be a huge adoption for the endpoints and being able to join the network appropriately. The exercising, talking to 4 Scout folks here, I know Cisco is also playing in that field as well. The additional changes that we're making, the Army is making towards it, is the ICAM database, understanding our assets and maintaining our identity across the DOJ and A. That is a huge undertaking in and of itself. That is allowing all the follow-on pillars of Zero Trust to fall in place without understanding what you have and who needs to talk to what. All the tags and attributes can go out the window. So it all starts with that, right? I know there's vendors here today that can also accomplish that. But yeah, the Zero Trust is definitely one of the initiatives and directions that we've all been given. It's figuring out how we're going to do it and how that's going to coincide with our mission partners. Because if we're going through tagging and attribute control, I will want to make sure that my attributes match yours or yours, so that we can all have that central common operating picture that I know General Flynn and the C2F is very driving towards. Putting the swivel chair method for information and data is old technology. Having one central system that gives you all the data that you need is where we should be. And we're definitely moving towards it. I don't know if we can move towards it at the speed in which we can, because it comes back to the money, comes back to resources, and the technical and cultural hurdles that you have to understand to be able to implement it. A lot of conversations have to be, like I said, cross borders to be able to make that happen.
Thank you very much. All right, back to me. Okay, so I can't speak too deep into this. Our cyber person are really going into this, but what I will say, one thing that is being implemented right now, I don't know if it going into that zero trust, just making sure down to that end user that is actually being secure, not so much focus on the network. As everyone up here spoke about as far as data-centric, I think it's going to be a huge issue, not just when we're going to a unified network where we don't have 5 different enclaves to bring up, just one. That's where we need to get to. However, you have to face the issue of getting there, but also every branch being able to get there at the same point. And I know everyone up here can attest that when we're trying to make communication between different services, sometimes we're in the hurdles. That's something I'd like to see go away. Because then that coordination piece goes out the window. That's something we're actually working right now.
That's one of the reasons why I put the joint task force planning, because that's where you see it. You have to bring up a joint task force now, you see it. You see the difference. What's your guys' thoughts on it?
So specific, we're at my regional hub, Doug Long. We're building an MPE. We're working with USERPAC and working with the other RHMs through a SACCOM governance to try to standardize and work towards every RHM having the same capabilities for our MPE enclave. Working with NetCom to codify that process. There's also an endeavor. We use the APAS system for our requests and being able to make it a much more structured approach and work system for everyone else to do their entry to be able to join the network.
One of the success stories for Red Hill was using MPE on dirty internet commercial.
Someone else is going to have it.
And then also the Navy, everyone hated this term blank speed. But I'll be honest with you, blank speed has saved Red Hill because we were able to use blank speed to provide online storage and collaboration spaces. Then we have NCI. So Army doesn't have those. So I have NCI, which that's arguably in depth. But they are the providers for everything. What we did was we took all the units, and instead of having them, normally when someone comes in here, create the SAR, you remove all the SAR, you put them on a Navy network, the commander's Navy, they have to follow the Navy command. What we did, and IndoPACOM helped with this, is we created a SAR, and we only gave them access to the domain, and then I used their organizational email, whether it be Army, Marine, Air Force, and we associated that with Outlook. So now they're logged on to an MCI machine, looking at their email in Outlook on that machine. That was one of the success stories we did that helped us move much faster. It's something I'm taking back to DJC2 to do, because one of our projects, we do bring everyone in. We give them in. The average person is not going to use it. They're not going to do it. They're going to go back to the email just what they're used to. So that's something that I looked at and I said, okay, that's necessary. I would take. Again, we had to make that relationship with NCI and understand what we're trying to do. If they're going to associate email, setting up that account. PayCom had its own thing. So we made that everyone's PayCom. Now we be able to remove that profile and add it organization. So everyone can use the inside. That's one fix to it that we did that I think people should look into. Because when the only person who couldn't do that with is Marines. Marines don't have a PDI system. So everyone, all the forces have these systems. The Marines don't have it. And I was like, wow, that's not out there. They don't. But if we place them, they don't lose their Marine access because they're Navy. So then they always going to say it the same way. It worked out perfect. This is some of the things that we figured out. It just worked out. Coast Guard, I haven't figured them out.
So, yeah, great discussions, Christian.
Going left to right, so if you try to get more joint, you're current with data and your miles, and they're making their own things, they're all stovepipe, not joint. Yeah. For each of you, what's a technical and tangible thing that you're trying to get after be more joint, and you would look at this room of industry people and say, hey, I need help with this, maybe going left to right, and then for you at Paycom, what's your efforts towards this, driving the services over to joint, and then how do you open the door to industry in to actually have a solution to kind of the GPAs that they're starting with?
You're saying unclassified or classified and just across the board?
Right? From the end?
All right, I know the division's a little different. Get one after.
So, joint picture's not really at a division, but what I will say is, it's in the Pacific, in general, it's, when you talk about standardizing, data, there's so many options to get to one avenue of connecting with people. I feel like it needs to be more standardized, because when you have, different units going about things different ways, you find that it doesn't work out. And we need to talk to our other services. If that makes sense.
So, for trying to achieve the ability to have better joint interoperability, definitely standardization. I know I talked earlier about the attribute tags being a standardized structure. It's the adoption of that culture that GNMEI documents be able to produce and give that kind of direction and guidance at the user level. There's so much that can be done when it comes to just that the trust that needs to get established with the ICANN systems so that they can coincide, and it's a singular access to zero trust. It's definitely a buzzword, but understanding the work that it takes, I think still is going to be a lot of the struggle that's going to happen as a lot of gotchas when implementing IT happen. I know a lot of the engineers and vendors make really good money helping us work through those problems. So, on 100%, there's creating kit, essentially, the turnkey solutions are always singular, which is unfortunate. It works for time frame, but as technology and the culture evolves, those turnkey solutions sit behind the fight. They are snapshots in time of how we have to communicate, and moving forward, just creating ecosystems that allow us to stay current, and stay current with what everyone needs, and understanding that there are other agencies and information and data that we do need to share with each other. The cross-domain solutions is one way. CSFC poses a lot of opportunities when it comes to technologies and the vendors, but the multi-enclave service that can get provided when distro consoles are connected, that allows me to connect to a thing or service hosted by someone else, and what that trust looks like, so that I can grab or get connected to a Navy or a Marine. Here. But reaching back to other people's service from a singular box, and having a singular service to be able to see and access whatever.
So some things that we're looking at is like joint powers network. Having something like that would definitely help bridge some of those gaps. Again, that couldn't consist of we have ourselves, but that is what we're pursuing to bridge. Going after the data-centric environment, or moving to the data-centric environment, and stuff that you're doing here. Like, that is going to help us at least collapse the coalition out. Those are kind of the two things that we pursue, at least that are
should be able to go to a Navy base, log in, and be fine. I think that would help us transition immediately when it comes to setting any of this stuff. We need that. I don't know what that is. Yeah. That's what we need. On the Navy side, because someone is O365 in the Air Force is not the same as being on Plate Street in the Navy.
So Warren Martin, so there is a solution for that. So we deal with it in CENTCOM, right? So the trusted network environment, that is MLS. So they bring in everybody's network in, and they bring it together. Now NSA is just put it on the baseline. DIA uses it, right? Because they have to use all sorts of networks. So there is a solution. You just got to think outside the box. Don't think I got to have JWIX, I got to have Zipper, I got to have all these different networks sitting there. Think multi-level. Think multi-level WAN. Think labeling all your data so you only get to see what you can see, right? And so I used to be the CEO. Well, I had those units underneath me, your JMAS units, and I can tell you half of those guys weren't even IT. They were CVs. They put up tents. So you don't have all the people you think you have, but the think autonomous systems that don't use all the SAs, don't use all the DBAs that you need, that those guys don't even know how to do it anyway. So trust me, that's you got to start thinking outside the box. How can I use the technology? Yeah, we have on baselines ATO. The MLS for DIA has been ATO'd since 2009. Nobody knows about it. I used to be the PM for that in uniform. I'm like, really? So they bring in JWIX, they bring in ZipperNet, they bring in StoneGhost into the same database. Everybody accesses it based on how the data is labeled. More Reynolds talking about there. That's the future. You guys have to get on it. Otherwise,
What's that stand for?
what's that?
What's MLS?
Multi-level security. So it's not CDS. It's you never transfer the data. It doesn't leave. You just access it from all the different outcomes on you. It's not hard.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and that's bringing at the IndoPACOM level. This is where these things come in handy, because you're right. All these PMs, all these services, they come up with different technologies. They come up with different technologies that they're using, but we don't know about it because we don't really talk to each other. And that's one of the things that at IndoPACOM we're trying to do, is trying to get everybody together and like, what do you have? What do you have? And then it's like, okay, now like these things can work together, or you know, maybe we should look at adopting something that this other service has. And you know, now each service has their own requirements. They're going to have their things they were told you will go forth to do. In the COCOM, we can't do anything about that. But at our level, we're trying to bring everybody in the same room and keep talking to them and saying, hey, make sure that you understand that we all still need to talk, and that you're not going off and down this avenue that is like, okay, it's great for you, it solves your problems, but when you come out to a JTF, you're on your own, and no one can communicate with you, And we're not Goldwater's Nipples Act supposed to happened so long ago, and we're still trying to fix that problem, to this day, and it hasn't gotten any better. The technology has gotten better, but so part of it is not just the technology. It's not, what new fandangled thing I can bring in there. And there's a lot of great stuff that we're moving forward with. It's the culture, it is the personalities, and the viewpoints.
That's right.
How we work, and then the big one, I just like policy. Policies are the biggest hamstring that we have to fight with. And then it's like, okay, let's change policy. Well, the other part is who owns it? Who owns that policy? So at the IndoPACOM level, that's another thing we run down. Okay, who owns that policy? Who do we have to talk to start getting those conversations going? So like with MPE and IMN, and with CENTCOM going through the same stuff. How do we fix these things, especially because all the policies were written for a net-centric mentality. And now we're moving to data centricity. So how do we adapt the new, get the new policies, change policies, and create those new standards that we can actually all work towards in a timely manner to meet the requirements that have been laid upon us. Because even though, like I said, even though the president and the DoD CIO said, hey, zero trust by 2027, some of the services haven't even really started getting that ball rolling, and it's almost 24. So it's one of those things that's like, yeah, we're being told this, and we're trying to move forward with it, but again, it's pockets of like excellence that are going out there, and no one doing that. And the biggest thing is trying to, from a COCOM, every COCOM, okay, how do we keep all our service components talking to each other and our coalition partners talking to each other? Then you add on top of that, how do I talk to my other co-coms and making sure we're all talking together? And they're still doing their own things individually. So we still got an even bigger joint picture that we have to look at and try to interface with. Because yes, we are we have a lot of things going on in Indo-PACOM, but we have partners from Europe and NATO and, coming into this theater. So we have to coordinate with the European theater to try to figure out, okay, how do we make all this stuff work and keep continuing? Because we're not little pockets of excellence. We're not standalone little things. Everybody has to work and talk together. Because we have people that are like in this theater now, but they're going to turn around and pop off, and they're going to go to CENTCOM and work together. And they're going to come over, and we have people from CENTCOM in Europe, and they're going to come to our theater. We need to also be able to talk. And so it's like, we can't have a UCOM solution, a CENTCOM solution, a Southcom solution. We got to have a DoD solution. Not saying we have to have all the same kit, but we all have to be able to talk to each other. It all has to be at that integrated level, so standard based. That all the standards are talking. So whatever you bring, you've met the standards. We should be able to talk. So, and that's one of the things that we're working towards.
Good morning, everyone. Major Air Controller out at Kusan Air Base in South Korea. I wanted to briefly ask your perspective. As we get ready for the future fight, we have to look at current fights around the world and kind of what lessons learned from those, right? So is there anything in particular going on in Ukraine or currently in Gaza where you see lessons learned from PTPs or disruptive technologies that you think we could integrate as we get ready for the future fight?
Very difficult question to answer in this environment.
There might be something we're going to have a follow-on conversation offline. We love to talk about it, but we're stuck at an in-class level. So we have time for maybe one more question if there is anyone who wants to ask a question. Rob?
Hey, Bob first. We talked. We see the different services up here. We've got the Army guy here as well, and you guys are mostly in execution mode. But just to give a little love to our DISA folks, where do you see DISA fitting in all this? Besides transport, how do you guys envision implementing some of the DISA provided services? As an example, talk about zero trust. Is there any discussion at the services level about Thunderdome or leveraging some of the zero trust initiatives through DISA?
Well, from the Indo-PACOM perspective, we talk to DISA all the time. We talk to DISA-PAC all the time, and we're trying to coordinate and keep lockstep. But a lot of what they're doing is global enterprise. That's their mission. That's their job. And so it's more of whatever they're doing and how it integrates with what we already are working towards, and try to sync with each other. Because in our area, our biggest thing is like all the circuits that are throughout this massive theater, and DISA is trying to upgrade those. DISA-PAC's job is trying to get off of the old optical stuff and move to MPLS and moving all these, get rid of all the TOS and everything else like that, because that impacts the theater. And so we're trying to help work with, coordinate with DISA, understanding where those at, work with the services and the owners of all those different things. Biggest problem is Korea. And it's, trying to help coordinate all that and help with the services. It's like, hey, here's these things. But again, DISA, the biggest thing that hindrance, DISA comes out with great stuff, and they do a lot of great things for a lot of us. The biggest hindrance from a service perspective, and this is just Chief Stanley's opinion, is that we can't afford them. The bill that comes along with it is like, it's cost prohibitive in a lot of cases, especially for, I'm pretty sure, like the Marine Corps. It's just, they're just small, they don't have the funding and everything now, so it's just one of those things that are just, I understand, things cost money, we have to pay for them. But again, sometimes it's just, we wanted the things we're trying to do and at the speed we're trying to do them at. DISA wants to help us, but again, when they come back around with that bill, it's like, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to figure out something else. So, and that's the biggest issue we've been running into. I've seen across the services in all the places I've worked at.
It's just that they come up with amazing things to the future. The only thing I would say, just when you call DISA, they have a smorgasbord of numbers. According to the person.
It's called the question.
Yeah. You get so tired of it. Press this for this, because you go, I'm tired of that.
Yeah, I'll have to look into what the movements for that.
That's a good.
But again, so just using it for transport as of right now, like the thing is for all of our city or all of our different networks, like we can only really talk back to our network until we get into that data-centric environment. So if this is where we want to host that data-centric environment, then cool, we can all relay it back to you guys that way. But since we're all going to be in our separate network environments, like I can't really use this to talk to our brand unless I start seeing firewalls and making things more complex.
Definitely subscribers, and definitely appreciate the transport options that this is providing. I would have to look more at the Thunderdome. I've gotten a high level brief on it. I just don't know how that coincides with, I would say, the Army Mission partner effort, and how that would overlay. That standardization is one aspect that I mentioned earlier, that I think is key. But yeah, that's what's more to it.
So I for one do not know about Thunderdome. However, I'm gonna keep saying this and say it again, like Steve said, standardization from the top down, right? Because we can't if it's split up like one person has this set of rules and that set of rules, there's no way that we can get to a point to where we're all have full interoperability. If there's a standardized set of policies from the top going down for all branches, I think that's how that would end up getting to that point. I know it seems a little unrealistic, but I think that needs to happen in order to get to that point.
All right, Danny, I'll let you put the last shot.
Just want to help out real fast. Rob asked you an unfair question. He asked you, what are the services doing? You don't sit at the service level.
No.
So it's not a fair question. For them, from the Army staff, we love what this is providing from a Thunderdome capability. Number one, it's a contract vehicle option for us to procure technology. We are looking at it to help us with our JRSS deprecation, which is more pressing than the Zero Trust mandate by 2027. And so every service from Air Force, the Navy, Mr. Turner as CTO for the Navy, Mr. Bonchi for the Air Force, everybody's looking at what Thunderdome can provide to fit within their Zero Trust implementation plan, which is due to be testified in front of Congress in January. So every service has a plan. We are down the path of where we're going. Some are further ahead with like the Navy, with plane speed. It's a one solution, but Thunderdome is an option for us as a contract vehicle. And as they've started to modernize it to say it's not an all-in-one option, we can kind of a la carte pick technologies, use that contract vehicle and integrate it with our own system integrator, then it works a lot better for us. Or you do it all at one time, through the system integrator. So just wanted to help them out a little bit.
If you don't know about this, there's a brief at 1500 is after the Colonel Benet is going to be sitting on it.
And if you don't know, Colonel Beneda is the director of DISA Action. So he's the big dog for DISA and DISA theater. His team does great work, and we like working with them. They do a lot of stuff. So DISA, like I said, DISA does great things, and we support them. Indo-PACOM does what we can to make sure they get what they need, and it's a mutual relationship. But that's we are at overtime. I'm great. Thank you, Danny, for that final stuff and everybody asking the questions and coming out here. I like to see a packed room. This is great. And I'd like to thank my panel members and coming out and speaking as best as they can on the areas.